Okay, this is one of those where it's a super alien mystery episode, not really an alien of the week. Because, see, with this one, while there is something that is theoretically worthy of being called an alien of the week, we don't see them. See, the plot of this episode is that the Federation colony Rana 4 sent out a distress signal indicating they were under attack, which turns out to be from the Husnock. We never see the Husnock, though, because by the time the Enterprise gets there, they're gone. We do, however, see this thing, which is said to be a Husnock warship. Wait, where's the picture of it? Seriously. Anyway, should be a picture in here. There we are. The Husnock warship, which fights the Enterprise. The first time it fights the Enterprise, it's a paper tiger, and like the Enterprise is like, oh, this couldn't possibly have destroyed a colony. What a ridiculous thing. And then when they return fire, it just gone. Then, Kevin Uxbridge just like, oh, that didn't scare you off the first time. Darn. Guess I'll have to try harder this time. And then it's a real fight. And except that it's a illusion. Not a real. See, the thing with Kevin Uxbridge is that he's one of those super aliens who has vaguely defined abilities, and while at first glance it seems like near omnipotence, they do in the episode mention several key limitations to his powers. One, he cannot bring people back to life. Two, he doesn't actually seem to be able to directly recreate things at all. It's like his powers can create the appearance of something, but what he creates is never seen to have actual physical substance, and that's an interesting limitation, if that's actually what is intended. So, playing this as a TTRPG, having the players run into a Douwd, well, the thing with Douwds is that they are energy beings, apparently. Well, the Star Trek Encyclopedia says they're energy beings. The episode shows Kevin shift into this form while teleporting or disappearing or whatever he did. And it doesn't really explain the existence of the form. But we know that he's not human and this isn't his true appearance. So, is this his actual appearance? Yeah, seems likely, although it's not confirmed. Another thing is that in the episode, while Kevin Uxbridge himself never actually assumes a different appearance, it could be argued that the Husnock ship actually, because it is being directly controlled by Kevin, is acting in his will. So even if it's not necessarily him taking on that appearance, he's creating it using his powers. That's the other thing, is that Rashawn, when we see her in the episode, is actually what Kevin imagines Rashawn to be, not what she actually was. And that is one of the more interesting aspects of this episode, is that Kevin recreated life as it was on Delta Rana prior to the Husnock bombing the colony into oblivion. Well, it's actually shown at one point in time in the episode that what Kevin created, the patch of seemingly nice uh, uh, landscape and, this very livable house, it's not real. And when Kevin stops willing it to be, it's just gone. Which is one of those things that makes you just like, wait a second. So if uh, there are actually touching things, it's one of those things where it's like you can't just like imagine that there's a floor there made out of carpet and imagine that you're stepping on a plush carpet floor when in reality there's broken rock 20 feet below you, and you're not even standing on a slab of stone. No, 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 no. You can't just imagine that you're standing in a building that's doesn't exist. So I would go with the idea that it's more akin to a holodeck projection than an illusion in the true sense, because people are able to scan it with a tricorder. And it looks like it's real, but of course, yeah. And again, here's the whole thing with that is that the plot of ground that Kevin was seen living in at the beginning was apparently an illusion because Kevin is able to just simply allow it to fade out. So playing this in TTRPG, running into Kevin Uxbridge or a different Douwd, because that's the other thing with this is that one of the few things we know about the Douwd, very, very vague comments about his background and backstory, is that um, he's actually not from this galaxy. He might be the only Douwd to have ever come to the Milky Way galaxy. Yeah, because it's like he says, like, oh, I've been in this galaxy for many thousands of years. Like, wait a second. Where were you before then? That is an interesting question. Very, very few things about the Douwd race are actually known. And if you wanted to play with this in a TTRPG, you could explore that in ways that the episode didn't. Because one of the things with the episode is that while they do some, moral discussion about whether it was right for Kevin to destroy the Husnock and, what the appropriate punishment of such an incredibly large scale mass murder was, they never even look at the into the thing. It's like, wait a second. Is Kevin Uxbridge the only one of his kind? If not, where's the rest of them? Although some of the super alien in Star Trek that are like really, really super do actually seem to be unique beings, because some of them are akin to Ego, the living planet, in that, one of them came to exist at this location because of some event that allowed it to be. It's possible that energy beings might not actually have a proper race. They might be unique beings. And that's something we don't know. However, since Kevin refers to himself by a species name, that suggests that there are more than one Douwd in the universe. And it's entirely possible that you could run into a different one who has very different thoughts and motives and what have you. Maybe even run into one that doesn't actually feel like being in human form. I mean, who's to say? Anyway, well, another thing with this episode is that while it's said that he destroyed the Husnock race, it's not said in the episode that he actually destroyed all of the Husnock civilization. Because yes, he said he annihilated the attacking ship and the entire Husnock race. Did he destroy their homeworld? Um, well, in Star Trek Online, they decided to go with the idea that he killed all of them, but he didn't actually destroy all of their stuff, so that there are remnants left behind that someone could salvage. But, again, it's one of those things that's very, very rule of cool. Because, the whole rule of cool thing is like, you explain as much as you need to, and you explain everything you need to, and don't waste time explaining things you don't need to. Which often means that you halfway explain things because you don't actually care about the other half. Like what the Husnock look like. The episode doesn't bother me with that. Now, one thing they could have done in the episode, which if you're doing this in a TTRPG, is something that you could do, is have the aliens who are in the fake spaceship attacking things actually, hail and talk. Because, as we saw here with Rashawn, Kevin Uxbridge did actually have the ability to imitate behavior and speech. Now, in the case of the Husnock, he didn't bother trying, but he did to a high degree of success with Rashawn. And yeah, one of those things that's a very, very simple concept that when you look into the details, you're like, oh, there are some very interesting implications when you look at the hazy mist of the backstory. Because the hazy mist does have substance to it. Like, here's one for you. That's something that I had actually not paid attention to the first time I saw the episode. When Rashawn is talking about her past, she talks about a place that doesn't exist in real life, and yet is said to exist in the Star Trek universe. Now, and the another thing that's interesting is that there is actually a real island named Martin Vaz. It's just that this is new Martin Vaz. And where? Yeah, we don't know. Anyway, though, that's enough of that. Pondering the specific implications of things like this. So many details that get lost in the background. It's like, okay, you could just go with the big picture main plot and ignore the details and replace them with different details, because you don't need the fine details, especially if you're using a different Douwd. You have no reason to care about new Martin Vitaz or Rashawn Uxbridge, because Kevin Uxbridge isn't here. Why would the other Douwd you're using know who Rashawn even is? Because that's another one of the limitations with the Douwd, is that he doesn't actually have omnipotence or omniscience. He's very powerful and has sensory abilities humans don't, but did he actually kill all of the Husnock? Because one of the things about the episode that's another minor quirk and thing that's not dealt with in major detail is that Kevin Uxbridge's destruction of the Husnock was a matter of hours or days before the crew of the Enterprise met him. Because the crew of the Enterprise received a distress signal from the planet that Kevin Uxbridge had been living on. And that distress signal was shortly before Kevin Uxbridge destroyed the Husnock race. That is something to ponder with this one, because that particular wrinkle, did Kevin actually have the time to find all of them? Did Kevin actually know where all of them were? We don't know. And that is an interesting thing that you could have as a dangling plot point. Anyways, that's enough of that for this episode. See you next time.